Alright, I'm on a roll here this week, posting again to the Create Your Own Question tab, mainly because I think I'm approaching this class from a different perspective. I am interested in how learning and how arts and education impacts society. I am interested, though, in more of a micro approach rather than the macro as society as a whole. And my question to lead off for the second of my postings here is, how do we accurately define the liberal arts? For the longest time, liberal arts education has been, we all know it's needed. We all know the liberal arts education is necessary, that it creates a well-rounded person. And one thing that resonated through all of the readings is all throughout history, education's primary goal was to create well-rounded citizenry, to create a citizenry that is full of thinking and thought, not just a society that acts, but a society that thinks, and that thinks deeply and logically, and considers common man in these decisions. So, how do we define that? I mean, that is something that has stumped me. And furthermore, how do we roll it into education that actually has value to the end user? And value would be determined differently by whoever is watching this video. To some people, knowledge alone is valuable. To others, value is considered skills that gain employment and that can bring money in. And we all have to pay bills. We all have to work a job. But what do we value? For myself, I think my exposure throughout my degrees and even within the course of this doctorate pursuit has been my exposure through these classes to divergent ways of thinking from my own, to many liberal perspectives, more so to the arts, a lot more within the social sciences. So the value to me of liberal education, especially as it applies to society, has been to have a broader understanding. So not only have a depth of knowledge that will base from my doctoral studies, but have a broad perspective of other people's views. I think a big plus, and something that we lack so desperately in society today, is the ability to take in other people's viewpoints and analyze them logically and rationally, and have a conversation about the things in which we don't believe. Now, I think liberal arts is the perfect platform to teach and to instill this ability to unbiasedly and unemotionally communicate differences between parties. And I think that unemotional component is so critical. I mean, many people are very quick to get very hot under the feathers and to get all worked up. And it's great to be passionate about things, but in certain areas, when we're passionate, that passion can override and it can turn to anger, and it's very difficult, as you all know, to communicate effectively and reasonably with somebody who is angry. So, I come back to the question, what makes liberal arts valuable to you, and how do we apply that to the new form of education? Because education is changing. It's not the same as it was, and in 5 years from now, it will be very different than it is today. It is changing fast. So how do we move liberal arts along with that in order to continue to instill society with the values, the understanding, and pretty much the principles needed to maintain an equitable and pleasing way of life? I look forward to the feedback on this.